Well, greetings, everybody. Jeremiah here on Tuesday, what day is it? August 19th, 2014. And I have a variety of people who have asked me about riding motorcycles and how to go about getting a motorcycle license and what to expect when you start riding motorcycles and all that sort of thing. So I thought I'd take a couple minutes to talk about this business of motorcycle safety training. I think it's something that's endlessly important that anybody who's even thinking about riding a motorcycle, purchasing a motorcycle, and so on, do. Motorcycle safety training is an absolute must, I think. The thing there is that riding motorcycles, it demands a lot more responsibility and a lot more planning, I think, than driving a regular vehicle. And it's like that for two main reasons. One, you're downscaling from four wheels to two wheels. And two, you are no longer enclosed in this metal and glass cage. So that means that there is a lot more responsibility on your shoulders in terms of your own safety. And because most motorcycles out there are stupidly fast. And at the same time have pretty stupidly awesome braking capacity. It's all about safety for you and safety for the people whom you're riding around. So the first thing I would say there is that when you're going through motorcycle safety training, if you can, avoid being too self-conscious about it, because it's not a competition and it's not a race. So don't be too apprehensive or too anxious about coming in and not knowing a lot about motorcycles. Maybe you've never actually even ridden a motorcycle before when you arrive on your first day for motorcycle training or motorcycle safety training. That's really that's what motorcycle safety training is designed for. It's designed for that specific rider. So yeah, don't worry about being the slowest to learn or not getting things the first time around and that sort of thing. It's not a competition, it's not a race. It's all about you and your safety and the safety of those whom you're riding around. Now, having said that, I believe that good safety training schools, they should teach one main thing, and that's how to minimize risk to yourself and to others on the road. And to that end, I think they should teach around 5 or 6 things. At least these 5 or 6 things at a minimum, I should say. So hopefully here's a topical preview of what you can expect in a motorcycle safety training program. And just as a side note, with my own personal experience, I went through motorcycle safety training in California through a safety program that's sponsored by the California Highway Patrol. So certainly my experience there is going to be different than somebody else's experience from another state or through another safety training program. But in my experience, that program made it explicit that the goal and the purpose for the safety training program is not to prepare you to take whatever license or certification exams you have to take, depending on what state you're living in order for you to be licensed to ride a motorcycle on the road. The safety training course is not designed and it's not intended to help prepare you for those kinds of tests or those kinds of exams. What they are intended to prepare you for and to teach you is how to be a safe motorcycle rider, both for yourself and again for the others whom you're riding around. So anyway, 5 or 6 things topic-wise I think that a good safety training program should cover. Number 1, they should talk about helmet laws and helmet recommendations, different types of helmets, how to secure your helmet, how to take care of your helmet, when you should replace your helmet, and so on and so forth. So there should be a good lengthy discussion in that course about helmets. The course number 2 should also teach you about safety inspections for your motorcycle, and even I would say like a type of an inspection you should do on a day-to-day basis. The inspection that I learned is a 3-minute check that's called a T-clocks inspection. That's TCLOCS, and that stands for tires and wheels, controls and levers, lights, oil and fuel, your chassis, and number 6, your side stand or your center stand. So T-clocks is an acronym to help you remember all those things: tires and wheels, controls and levers, lights, oil, chassis, and your side stand or your center stand. In the description below, I'll include a link to the AmericanMotorcyclist.com's guidelines for what a T-clocks inspection is, and what you need to do to inspect each one of those 6 elements. But your safety training program should give you some kind of a safety inspection procedure to do with your motorcycle. Number 3, I think that a good safety training program should teach you about this thing called maximum braking. Now motorcycles, just like most multi-geared bicycles, they have brakes on both the front and the back wheels. Now, although the speeds and the weights between a bicycle and a motorcycle are vastly different, essentially the same physics apply. 80% of your stopping power comes from your front brake, and about 20% or so of your stopping power comes from your rear brake. Well, what the maximum braking technique does is it allows you to figure out how to apply the right amount of braking pressure on the right wheel at the right time in order to stop in the shortest amount of distance possible without losing traction. Okay, and traction is something that's super important for you to think about, because again, you're only on 2 wheels instead of 4 wheels. So if you lose traction and you start skidding when you only have 2 wheels, that can be a pretty scary situation. So maximum braking is all about figuring out how to apply the right amount of braking pressure to stop in the least amount of distance possible without breaking traction. Number 4, they should teach you a technique for how to put your bike into a long turn at anywhere from moderate to high speeds. Probably you're already aware that when you turn on a motorcycle, you should lean with the turn. And while this is absolutely true, I think that many beginning riders don't realize that when you initiate a turn, you don't turn the handlebars in the direction that you want to turn, like you would with a steering wheel. On a steering wheel, if I want to turn right, then I turn the steering wheel to the right. On a motorcycle, when you're dealing with handlebars, rather than turning the handlebars towards the right, if I want to turn right, I actually press on the right handlebar, and that'll get the bike to lean towards the right. Okay, and then I lean with the bike, and then that's how I start to turn towards the right. And then at the end of that process, you're just going to roll on the throttle a little bit, and that's going to help straighten the bike back out. There's lots of physics involved in the way that turning mechanism works, but essentially what that boils down to is the press, lean, and roll technique for making long turns. They should also, number 5, teach you how to turn at slower speeds using center of gravity. That press, lean, and roll technique that I just broke down, that's for turns when I think and it depends on the bike and the aerodynamics of it and the weight of it. But usually that press, lean, and roll technique is for when you're turning, going perhaps faster than like 15 miles an hour. But oftentimes you need to maneuver your motorcycle when you're going slower than 15 miles an hour. Your safety school should get you practicing on how to adjust your body position to affect you and your motorcycle's center of gravity. That way you can make really tight turns at very slow speeds. And finally, number 6, I think a good safety school should teach you is techniques to help you focus and pay attention to the road, and how to avoid or deal with hazards that come up on the road, such as debris, potholes, water, and so on. Those, I think, are 6 really important and vital topics that I think any good motorcycle safety training school should be instructing you in. And in my experience, if I remember right, the school itself lasted for around 21 hours. It was spread over 2 or 3 days. And most of the front end of the class was actually in a classroom environment where we were talking about this stuff and looking at videos and reading and all that sort of thing. So we got more of the informational stuff and the theoretical stuff. And then the second half of the class was actually riding motorcycles out on a closed course, where you then got to practice all of the techniques that you had just learned about, with an instructor out there on the course who helps correct you as you're going around and doing things like maximum braking, the press, lean, and roll turn, the center of gravity turn. They'll put like little obstacles, like a 2x4 that you have to ride over and do the right technique in order to ride over that without endangering yourself, and all those sorts of things. So hopefully, if you are going to move forward with motorcycle safety training, that you end up with a good program that approaches it that way. But anyway, that aside, if anybody has any questions or comments, I look forward to reading those in the comment box below. And otherwise, best of luck. Enjoy riding. It's great. I think that there are a few things that match the feeling of rolling on your throttle and just being out there on the road or in the world without that metal and glass cage around you. It's a very, very cool feeling, but so long as you're doing it safely and not endangering yourself or endangering other people out there on the road. So here's to safe riding and good times.